All right, written problem 3, solutions for math 112. We're told this function f of x is log base 4 of x. And what we're asked to do for part 1 here is to evaluate f of 1 half, f of 1, and f of 8. So the way you do that is you just kind of use this as a blueprint for your function, and you rewrite exactly what you see above, except you change all the x's into, in this case, 1 half. So I would get the log base 4 of 1 half. Then you got to figure out what is the log base 4 of 1 half. Well, it'll end up being negative 1 half. Why? Because the log base 4 of 1 half is asking you the question, what power do you have to raise 4 up to make it equal to 1 half? And 4 to the negative 1 half would be 1 over 4 to the 1 half, because the negative exponent means take the reciprocal. And 4 to the 1 half means take the square root of that 4, and the square root of 4 is 2. So 4 to the negative 1 half equals 1 half, therefore the log base 4 of 1 half equals negative 1 half. Similarly, we can evaluate f of 1. That would just be the log base 4 of 1. So now it's asking me the question, what power do I have to raise 4 up to make it equal to 1? The answer to that is just 0, and the reasoning here is because 4 to the 0 power is equal to 1. And then finally, f of 8, I don't know, maybe that's the hardest one, or maybe f of 1 half was the hardest one. F of 8 would be the log base 4 of 8. And I don't think it's obvious what the log base 4 of 8 is equal to, unless we've done this exact thing in a video already. I can't remember. It'll end up the answer is 3 halves. And why is it 3 halves? Well, because, again, this is asking you the question, what power do you have to raise 4 up to make it equal to 8? And I don't know what power I can raise 4 up to make it 8, but I do know that 2 to the third power is 8. And since the square root of 4 is 2, I can take the 4 and raise it to the 3 halves power. And what that means is the square root of 4 cubed, and the square root of 4 is 2, and 2 cubed gives me this 8. Question 2 is more of the same, except now instead of telling us the input to this function, it's telling us the output for this function. So my output for f of x is supposed to be negative 2. Well, the output for f of x is log base 4 of x. So what I need to do is set log base 4 of x equal to negative 2, and then solve this equation. And there's a few ways you can do this, but maybe the easiest way would be to rewrite this in exponential form. If you write this in exponential form, we're saying that x is equal to 4 to the negative 2 power, and 4 to the negative 2 power is the same as 1 over 4 squared, so the log base 4 of 1/16 is equal to negative 2. We can do that same thing to figure out when 1 half is the output. We'll take the log base 4 of x and set it equal to 1 half. You might be able to just look at this and tell what the answer is, but it might be easier to rewrite this in exponential form. So this base of 4 raised up to this power of 1 half must be equal to this x, and 4 to the 1 half power is the same as the square root of 4. What I'm saying is that x would be equal to 2 here. And then question 3 says we're supposed to sketch an approximate graph of f, but we use the 5 points that we found in 1 and 2 above. So what I mean by the 5 points is in 1, we figured out that when 1 half goes in, negative 1 half comes out. So the point 1 half, negative 1 half must be on the graph. From here, we figured out that when 1 goes in, 0 comes out. So the point 1, 0 is on the graph. From here, we figured out that when 8 goes in, 3 halves comes out. So 8 comma 3 halves is on the graph. And then up here, we figured out that when we put 1/16 in, negative 2 comes out. So that gives me the 4th point on the graph. And finally, my 5th one is when I put 2 into this graph, I figured out that 1 half comes out. So with these 5 points and a little bit of knowledge on what the graph of logarithmic functions looks like, I can come up with the graph that I need. So this first point, when x equals 1 half, y equals negative 1 half, that would be roughly speaking right here. When x equals 1, y equals 0, that's easy, that's right here. When x equals 8, so way out here, y equals 3 halves, which is 1.5, so roughly speaking here, halfway in between 1 and 2. When x equals 1/16, so really close to 0, my value of y is negative 2. And when x equals 2, so right here, my value of y is 1 half, halfway in between 0 and 1 here. I can connect these points and come up with the approximate graph that I was asked to come up with. Note that we have the vertical asymptote here as we approach the y-axis from the right side, and it goes through the 5 labeled points. It's worth pointing out that the log base 4 of x should also go through the point 4 comma 1. Whatever the base is of your log function is always telling you the x value when the y value equals 1. So if I go to 4 here, the height should be 1, and it looks like that checks out at least fairly well on my graph. I think that's enough for this problem.